What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, news you know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing here in northeastern Florida. And we're also doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions about a neighborhood you're interested in, the best restaurants here in the area, or any of the news stories or stats that we cover, throw them in the comments below. Not only throwing a comment below helps out me and pushes this message out to other people, but throwing a like down there as well, subscribing to the channel, all that good stuff helps me out. Ooh, let me just change this just slightly. It looks like I got a little bit of my light switch into my picture, which drives me nuts. Voila, it's beautiful. All right, well guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started today. I'm gonna go, and as we always do, gonna take a look at the market stats. Then we do the news stories, and I try to do something, you know, national news story, then state, then local. But not really too much changed nationally and really in the state here this past week. But we got a bunch of good stuff going on here locally, so I'm going to cover that stuff. And yeah, any questions you may have. So I'm going to share my screen here. And I had an awesome day today. Boom, there we go. I got to go down to Downtown Jacksonville and tour Downtown Jacksonville, which normally doesn't like that great of an idea. I don't typically like to do that, but I went with JWB Capital, and they are, really built their name here in Jacksonville by doing build to rent, and then property management on top of that. So if you're looking to buy an investment property, you go to JWB. They essentially do all the lifting, heavy lifting for you. You come by, you buy the property, and you collect your cash flow on the monthly. But the one interesting thing, and I guess I'll switch back over here, is all of the stuff that JWB has going on in downtown Jacksonville. Learned today that they own about 12% of downtown Jacksonville, which is a huge area. And they're working on a development right now called Pearl Square, which covers, I think, 20 or 25 city blocks in downtown Jacksonville. Development's already started. The money's already there to do it. It's happening right now. And we got to walk a lot of those projects today and see what JWB is doing in downtown Jacksonville. On top of that, really cool stuff, guys. On top of that, they also talked about, using case studies of like a Nashville and an Austin, of how they rapidly changed their city over a short amount of time, 10 years, and how the population grew. And essentially the population, once it hit 10,000 people, started to take off, because that's when enough money was in the downtown corridor for developers to come in and bring, more development, restaurants, high rises, all that kind of stuff to those respective cities. They made the argument today that that's happening right now in Jacksonville. And from what I saw, I'm pretty well convinced, because not only does JWB have a lot of stuff going on, like I said, they have 20, 25 city blocks that they're working on right now that they own and are developing. But then you also, and most of their projects are going to be done in 2028 or 2029. And then you have Shad Khan. Shad Khan is obviously redoing the Jag Stadium. It's a partnership with the city. The city's putting a lot of money into that as well. He's redoing the Jag Stadium, making it Stadium of the Future. That's going in. Right across the street from that, you have the Four Seasons. Four Seasons is going to be obviously a big change to the waterfront there. It's going to have docks as well. And then you also have University of Florida coming into the downtown Jacksonville area, where they're going to be putting a graduate campus in downtown, I think on 20 acres, if I remember correctly. They expect to have 10,000 students there. But the graduate campus is going to be directed towards technology and AI. So this is going to be a little bit more longer of a tailspin from that, but companies will probably move here just because they have the ability to get this really highly educated workforce right out of UF, right in the heart of downtown Jacksonville. So a lot of cool stuff going on in Jacksonville, but that's not why we're here today, guys. We're here to talk about St. Augustine. I was just really thankful to be a part of it, because it was just really interesting to see. And I went to Detroit a couple years ago, same thing. Rocket Mortgage, the guy who owns that, he's a billionaire. I can't remember his name. But he owns probably 50% of downtown Detroit, and they've changed Detroit completely just because he owns all the buildings there and they're all renovated and nice. You can do that when you're a billionaire. So JWB Capital is doing that in Jacksonville here, and there's also, I think they said like $3.5 billion worth of projects that are approved and being worked on right now in downtown Jacksonville. So huge for that area. So let's talk about Jacksonville for a little bit. this is all the counties in our area. We're just going to look at Duval, though, because that's all we care about. Duval County is the main area in Jacksonville, main county in Jacksonville, but Jacksonville takes up the majority of Duval County. And look at that. Prices down 3.4% from this time last year. Median sale price of $300,000. Guys, the median sale price in the United States is $400,000. $100,000 lower than that in a city with a lot of stuff going on, like I just covered, the downtown. It seems like it's primed to go. And one of the stats, and I'm going to be putting out a more in-depth video on this, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that. But we're going to get all those slides and everything. But one of the stats that they were saying is that of the people of the downtowns that hit that 10,000 mark, once they hit that 10,000 people mark, then they appreciated every other metropolitan area of a like kind. So maybe it's not a super big cash flow play to buy a home, an investment property right now, but you still can do appreciation, right? And that's I think the tale of two markets, whereas before Jacksonville was a cash flow market. That's all it was. It wasn't an appreciation market. Same with St. Augustine, northeastern Florida in general. But now it's more of an appreciation game and not as much as cash flow. So interesting stuff. Did I show you guys this? Did I flip this over? Yeah, so 294 here. We'll take a look at St. Johns County. So down 3.4% from this time last year, 305,000. So January took a big dip. Imagine we have all the numbers out for that now, but as you can see, it normally takes a dip in January. And that's funny. So look at this here. Oh, this is from 2025. So really within the past couple of years, prices really haven't gone anywhere. In January of 2023, we're at 289. So over 3 years, you're only up $5,000. It's not really anything crazy. Not being down 10 grand is anything crazy, but we'll keep an eye on it as always. Let's go back here and we'll take a look at St. Johns County, which is the main area that I care about. So St. Johns County up 1.9% from 485 in January 2025. Let's bump that back and just take a look at January of 2024. Up 2.1%. So really not much, right? Let's just do that. We just did January 2023, so may as well go back there. See what that looks like. I think that's probably going to go down here. Or I skipped 23. Up 6% since 2022. I skipped 23, didn't I? There we go. My mistake. Yeah, so it's not a whole bunch of appreciation. That's actually terrible, when you're talking about real estate. Since January 2023, almost 3 years now, you're only getting 2.1.5% appreciation. Not ideal, but it's better than the alternative. Prices going down, right? So I think that's something very interesting is even before 2019, every single year before that, someone said there was going to be a crash. 2020, there was going to be a crash. 2021, there was going to be a crash. 2022, 3, 4, 5. This year of the crash. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it, guys. I don't know if it's going to happen. If it happens, then I hope all the people that are sitting on the sidelines jump off the sidelines. And that's the other thing. I feel like there's so many people that are waiting for just a little bit of a correction in the market that maybe it would only change for just a short period of time. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. What are you seeing in your local area? Let me know in the comments below. Because St. Augustine's different than the rest of Florida, right? Jacksonville's different than the rest of Florida. Jacksonville's different than St. Augustine. But let's hop into St. Augustine news. So this is kind of a cool light story to start off. Legendary blues guitarist Buddy Guy to headline concert in St. Augustine. Blues guitarist is set to perform at St. Augustine Amphitheater on Saturday, August 2022. And on top of that, we'll switch over to this one here. That's not it. Where is it? There it goes. St. Augustine's Amphitheater named Billboard's top East Coast amphitheater. It's the first time that it's won this, but first time receiving the recognition as part of the publication's annual top music venues list. Billboard selected venues based on quantitative box score data along with qualitative factors such as venue reputation and notable past and upcoming performances. And St. Augustine Amphitheater is getting some good live music. It seems that every single year, like Widespread Panic comes, Willie Nelson comes, Billy Strings, he does a 3-day set here. sells out within that day. It's crazy. I've never seen him live, but apparently he is an amazing musician. Got the Black Keys coming. They just announced that show. Buddy Guy, Gary Clark Jr. was just here last week. We have a really amazing music scene here, and I think it's only going to get better as St. Augustine gets more and more notoriable. And I think the Amphitheater is a place that people want to play at, like where people, like the artists themselves want to go and play there, because it's just a beautiful venue. So really excited about that. Let me make sure I got no questions here. Any comments? Nothing? Okay, good. All right, guys. I'm going to try and make this one a short one today. I had a long day, but we're going to go through everything for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. All right, this is kind of an interesting scenario, and this is on the cusp of what we talked about last week with St. Johns County getting involved with property rights and what you can and can't do. Is a proposed recycling facility in St. Johns County an environmental hazard or a smart solution? So what's happening is there is a 73-acre piece of land in the countryside of St. Johns County at the center of a community debate, as the owner wants to create a recycling facility on it. However, the nearby neighbors don't want that. There's an equestrian community right next to this site, and they're saying, hey, we don't want to have a recycling facility in our backyard. So the problem is people don't want it in their backyard. Then this guy said, hey, I bought this property with this in mind, but, and it says it somewhere here in the article, this property is not zoned for that, for I think it's industrial, if I remember correctly. And he's been told by the county that if it's not agricultural, he needs to remove any heavy equipment and vehicles not related to its zoning. It's zoned, open rural, and they put a stop work order so they can kind of figure out this situation. So the locals are upset about it because they also have a state park that is right next to their equestrian community that they have access to, and from that state park they can see the mess that he's put on his land. Now, from what the owner says, is like, hey, I plan on making this a recycling facility. The reason that I was running equipment is because I was creating the land for myself and putting my gravel roads in and stuff like that. And he's like, since the county said something to me, I haven't done anything just to make sure, but my full intention is to make this a recycling facility. And maybe he will, maybe he won't, right? Is that something that Greater St. Johns County probably needs? Yeah, it's probably overall benefit for the environment, probably something that St. Johns County could benefit from. But what do you do with the neighbors, right? If the neighbors don't want to see that in their backyard, should they have to buy it from him? You know, he bought it as an open rural piece of land and now wants to change it to a recycling center, right? So who's in the right here? Was he able to do that? Was it should he have figured that out before he bought it? There's a lot of questions here, guys, and they don't really do the full story. I don't think they give a lot of justice to, you know, the person who bought it, because he's got a point too, you know. And I definitely would not want a recycling facility in my backyard. I don't know about you guys. I know I was very, you know, they were talking about putting a methadone clinic about a block and a half from me. I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all. But at the end of the day, you own a piece of property. Should be able to do what you want with it within reason, right? But is putting a methadone clinic in a residential neighborhood within reason? Is putting a recycling facility on acreage next to an equestrian community, which is also on acreage next to a state park, reasonable? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, we're going to go to this one. This one's kind of interesting. So, Century Communities plans luxury townhome development in St. Augustine's Vilano Beach starting at $1 million. So, they're going to have a private rooftop terrace at Breakwater Villas in Vilano Beach. So, if you're familiar, if you watch this channel, we've covered this area before. It's been vacant like this for probably about 3 years. Not sure what's going on with it, but it's been vacant for a long time. But Century Communities just bought it. They're going to be putting, I think, 40 luxury townhomes starting at 2,700 square feet, and they'll have 3 bedrooms and either a 2 or 3 bay garage. It's roughly 3.2 acres, and they bought it for $11.51 million. Okay, so there's 50 home sites. My mistake. Okay, so 50 home sites. So I think that's a positive for that piece of land because it's nothing now. It's been nothing for several years. So hopefully they actually get started on construction there. But $1 million townhomes, That's a tall order. That's a specific type of buyer. And does Vilano Beach support that, right? Do people that have that type of money and want to buy a townhome want to be in Vilano Beach? How many of those can be short-term rentals, right? Probably all of them. We'll see, right? I don't know, because you can, with $1 million, you can buy a really nice house in Vilano Beach, right? A decent sized house in Vilano Beach versus a townhome, right? But it's not going to be brand new. So you can buy pretty close to $1 million brand new construction house, maybe a little bit over $1 million. But do you want that or do you want a townhome? I don't know. That's obviously in the heart of Vilano Beach, so I think it's a great location. What do you guys think about that? You think $1 million townhomes will sell? I think they will, right? But obviously they haven't over these past 3 years. It's a very specific buyer that would want something like that. Do they want to live in Vilano Beach where it's a little slower? Now there's definitely some more restaurants and kind of more of a walkability in that main part of Vilano now. But is that what $1 million buyer is looking for? I'm unsure of that. All right, guys, I think I got 2 more news stories. Let's check it out. All right, so I was going to cover this, but they have a lot of infrastructure. 120 capital projects completed or progressing going into this year. $820 million from St. Johns County into the infrastructure program. And one of the big ones was opening County Road 2209. They did a ribbon cutting, which is funny. But they successfully completed 61 capital projects in 2025 and have 59 additional capital projects scheduled to either begin construction or reach their final completion in 2026. So, if you live here in St. Johns County, you've seen the growth over these past couple of years. You know that all of these capital improvement projects were 100% needed. We had an influx of people from COVID. Most of them, there's all talk about people leaving, and that has happened, right? But most of them haven't left. It's a pretty great place to live. I was just talking to my buddy today, and he was like, he lives up in Philly. And he was like, man, it feels like summer. It's 26 degrees out. It was 70 degrees out, when I was talking to him. It was beautiful outside. And I think people that live here locally, they think that people are just going to get up and pack their bags. Like, the lifestyle here is pretty amazing. It's hard to argue with. So either way, we needed that infrastructure improvement. We needed as many millions of dollars as they wanted to pour into here. So let's see. We got Scott here. Scott, my shirt's all. They keep adding on Vilano Beach. Where is all the traffic going to go? There isn't a traffic pattern for more people. Scott, I disagree. Not that I'm like super pro development and like that we should throw up townhomes everywhere, but I mean, as of right now, that intersection where you turn onto A1A is just a stop sign, and so it's a 3-way stop sign, and I've never had any trouble there in general. Now, getting over the bridge to downtown during peak season, 100%. But in that area of Vilano Beach, I don't know if it really, I guess you're talking, let's say 2 cars per 50 unit, 100 cars additional on the road. I don't know. It'll make a little difference, but I don't think it'd be anything that you'd really notice. Just being honest with you. Not pro development here, not like, hey, let's clear all these houses, put townhomes up. Not saying that. But if they were to maybe do 4 other projects like that, 100%, I think it would be congested. But I don't know if the extra 100 cars on the road is going to make a huge difference at this point. Now, I will say it would be nice if they had some more parking in that area, especially when it comes down to the beach. They really don't have much parking, but then again, you can drive on the beach there too, so kind of get away with it. So let's see, we got misdemeanor. In 3 weeks, I wore a shirt. It makes it really hard to read it over my chest. In 3 weeks, I am moving to the city of St. Augustine. It's such a beautiful place. Misdemeanor, it is a beautiful place. I appreciate it. I guess you didn't use me to buy your house. I see how it is. Maybe you're just renting. I'm going to go with you renting. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. We're in St. Augustine. You heading to? You heading to downtown? You heading to the beaches? You said the city, so maybe the city of St. Augustine, like downtown area. But let me know in the comments below. Welcome and enjoy it. It's a great place to live. Really, anywhere in St. Johns County is a great place to live. It's awesome. But I appreciate you commenting. Thank you so much. Let's see here. I think I got one news story here, guys. Let me check this one. Okay, yeah, so they have a video of all the capital improvement projects. It's boring. I'm not going to bore you with that, guys. All right, so just rounding this out. A couple weeks ago, I talked about this, how the area local to downtown St. Augustine, the beaches, we are out of new construction, and we're out of the master plan communities, right? In terms of new construction. Now, of course, you can always buy a resale, but KB Homes expands Northeast Florida presence with Maplewood community near historic St. Augustine. It's not really near historic St. Augustine. It's like 20 minutes away from historic St. Augustine, but they're starting in the 350s. They're going to have single family homes there, but the biggest difference that we're seeing in this little community is that they don't really have any amenities. They have like a tot lot and a park, but they don't have like a pool and basketball court and pickleball courts like we've seen pretty much across every other community out there, especially when it comes to new construction. And we had Entrada by D.R. Horton. That was a massive community. I think they put 1,800 homes in there in total. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 14. But they built that. And then you have St. Augustine Lakes, which was a Lennar community. They just finished both of those communities within the past 2 months. And those were the most affordable single-family home, new construction, interest rate buy-down, closing costs, all of that. And they're not around anymore. KB does give out some incentives, but typically they're more or less like, hey, we'll give you a dollar amount, and you can use that dollar amount to buy down your interest rate or pay your closing costs, up to you. They're not really buying the packages of loans that D.R. Horton Lennar do, where, hey, you can get a 3.5% or 4.5% interest rate, 3.99. That's all pretty much gone within a 20-minute radius of downtown St. Augustine, outside of this new development here. So I imagine KB will be giving some incentives here. The homes will be in the 350s. So I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, especially locals. That is affordable these days. Affordability, I don't think, is going to change very much from that price point, because that's kind of the bottom of what the house is for now, and make a little bit of profit. So that's going to be coming off of US 1, just right across the way from the Shores. So if you're familiar where the Shores is, KB has a great community in there called Sable Estates. Great value there, but it's going to be just right before you get to the Shores there, so on US 1. So a little bit, 20 minutes south of downtown St. Augustine, right off US 1. So let's see, we got Misdemeanor. I'm renting, so we need to catch up soon, moving to Anastasia Island. That's the way. That's the way. Anastasia Island's the best. Especially, it depends where you are for sure. Some areas are more flood prone, but if you're in prime St. Augustine Beach, or if you're even there's an area called Menendez Park, super cute little area. It's right off of Anastasia State Park. They even have a secret door you can go through right to Anastasia State Park. Just a great community. But you got the beach lifestyle, you got the amphitheater right there, you got downtown 10 minutes away. You can ride your bike pretty much everywhere in that area. It's really sweet. Really sweet area. You're going to enjoy it. Yeah, so appreciate you. OG, the original Misdemeanor. But guys, I think that's it. I got no more questions here. I appreciate you guys being here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, news you know about everything about buying, selling, or investing. And we do the Q&A, so appreciate you guys commenting here. Scott, Misdemeanor OG, appreciate you guys getting involved in this live stream here today. But yeah, got a new video coming out on Saturday. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, comment if you got any value from it. We'll be here next week, and we have a new video coming out Saturday. And I'm going to try and put that Jacksonville video together, because I think that's a really interesting one. It's a really interesting one. I had a lot of fun today. And I don't normally say that. All right, guys. Oh, we got Misdemeanor back here. Okay, let me see. We got one more. Saw a lot of near Masters Drive area, historic house, some very large. Hope they leave the nature there. Yeah, so if you're off of Masters there, I think I live right in the neighborhood over here. I'm in West Augustine as well. This area is changing rapidly. It is. New construction left and right. Off of Masters, a little bit more developed, so not as much over there, but still a really cool area. There is talks within their $49 million plan that they have for the West Augustine, West City area to add Marshfront Park somewhere within those 30 years. I want to say it's in the second phase, which I think is year 10, of where they're going to be adding that Marshfront Park. So it's a while away. But if you're off of Masters, anywhere close to like Josiah, Helen Street, Florida Avenue, around there, I don't know. I have no information. I have no insider scoop on this outside of like just knowing where there's access to the water within that neighborhood. And that's pretty much the only area. Maybe like there's one other area a little further south where I think they're going to add that marshfront park. But I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It'll be sweet when they do. And I hope they do. They say they got this money for it, so hopefully they do. But I think it'll be cool for West Augustine as a whole. But guys, that's, you know what, it's funny. I try to get off and now I get more people on. But I guess I could talk about something else. What could I talk about here? You know, St. Augustine. It does seem like that the real estate market has had a pickup. And I said this since the beginning of the year. And this happens always at the beginning of the year because the end of the year normally is slower, right? So at the beginning of the year, especially if you're an independent contractor, you go from, you know, not doing too much to doing a lot, you know, almost overnight. And that trend has seemed to continue throughout February. These last 2 weeks have been, last 3 weeks, between people reaching out from YouTube, scheduling appointments, putting houses, have been some of the, this is probably my busiest week amongst all those things in my last 5 years of doing this, which is really cool. It's really cool. Maybe that's an anecdote of this working really well. Maybe that's an anecdote of the market and its, you know, temperature right now. But I did also have a listing that I thought was fantastic in West Augustine, 56D South Whitney Street. Was on the market for 108 days and then negotiating an offer from last Wednesday to Sunday. Sunday morning, I get a call from another agent saying, hey, I'm going to go show your property right now. My buyer's going to write an offer on it. And I said, hey, we got an offer on it. We're probably going to sign those papers today. And they said, okay, well, we'll put an offer in. And they're like, can you tell us anything about it? I said, put your highest and best in. That's all I can say. And they put in a better offer, in my opinion. So very interesting that we got 2 offers within a couple of days after it's been on the market for 108 days. We did a price reduction about a month ago, right? So you thought this would happen today, but it would have happened a month ago. But all of a sudden now we got 2 offers on it. And one of the homes that I have under contract, we're negotiating the inspection, and all of a sudden that has 2 backup offers on it. So it's like we're negotiating an inspection on some pretty big items, and they're like, hey, listen, we can keep negotiating this, but we got 2 others that are waiting on us. So very interesting. These are all around the 300,000 price point. So maybe it's just that price level of people like, all right, hey, market hasn't crashed, I'm getting in the market. Or maybe it's just an influx of people because of the cold. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let's see. We got misdemeanor back here. Wait. Oh, sorry, I already read this one. My mistake. Where did I see this one? Saw a lot of regentrification near Masters Drive area, historic house, some very large. Hope they leave the nature there. Yeah, I covered this one. Yep, okay. All right, guys. Well, hey, that's it. Here every Wednesday, 8 p.m., going to market stats, news you know about, think about buying, selling, or investing here in Northeastern Florida, and we're doing a Q&A. Didn't really have too many questions today, a lot of comments. Really appreciate you guys. Scott, Misdemeanor OG. We'll see you next week, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Safe travels, Misdemeanor OG. Hope you get settled just fine in Anastasia Island. Reach out, grab a cup of coffee or something. Have a good one, guys. See you later.